Working on summer just to try to put a towel. Everybody, try to be a day. Very glad to be here. Eddie Cochran, when the summertime blues going off. And there ain't no time for the summertime blues, according to Eddie back in the day. That music came out in 1958. I was a wee tot, a couple years old, and running around on the floor, crawling around, causing all kinds of trouble, I think. Anyway, so welcome to a great day here at the Santa Cruz Voice. This is Dr. Duncan McCollum, and it is summertime, and there ain't no time for the summertime blues. And the theme of the show today is basically you being able to go out and enjoy your life and enjoy the day and enjoy, doing those things that you want to do unencumbered by your body and those things that might stop your body from functioning well. So I'm going to be talking about, something that's coming up this Thursday as a peripheral neuropathy workshop at my office. Now we have one Wednesday, but it's full. And that is 12:30 Wednesday, and we've got capacity there. But we do have overflow Thursday night at 6 o'clock. You could come to the workshop and learn about peripheral neuropathy and what can be done about it. And you know what? It's so interesting. You get young people in, people that are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s with peripheral neuropathy already. And there's so many things that can cause it. We were having a staff meeting this noon with Dr. Jerry, we call him Dr. G, and my staff, and we were talking about peripheral neuropathy and the workshop. And Dr. G spoke up and he goes, the thing about peripheral neuropathy that people don't understand is the number one cause of death of people over 70 is when they slip and fall and break something, and that is the beginning of their demise. So the reason they slip and fall is because they can't feel their feet. They're not able to have that communication between the brain and where your foot is. And this all usually has the beginnings that may come weeks, months, years early. So you need to be aware of what to look for with peripheral neuropathy because, something can be done about it. And we're very excited again and again and again to see the changes that we get at our office for peripheral neuropathy. Now, if you want to come to the workshop, call McCollum Family Chiropractic, 831-459-9990. It's this Thursday, 6 o'clock at my office in Capitola. And I'll repeat that a number of times throughout the show today. So, I was at a very young age when I had a severe injury to my spine, basically 12 years old, fell out of a tree when the branch broke and ended up, I didn't know it till later, but I had broken my back, fractured the fifth lumbar, and I hobbled around. Kids were supposed to be seen, not heard for many years until I re-injured it so badly that I was flat on my back for 3 weeks in my early 20s before two guys carried me into a chiropractic office. They carried me in and I walked out. This is after years of pharmaceutical drugs, street drugs, alcohol, anything I could do to kill the pain. And it almost killed me. So wherever you are in life, I'm sure you all have stories that mine would pale to, but the point is that you're here today and you can create your tomorrows. And my whole purpose today is to have you take a look at where you are today and decide to do something about it because something can be done about it. You just want to pick the right things. So many times people come into my office with gadgets and these little things that they looked at online and they said, I used it and it didn't work. Well, it may be that that particular gadget was part of the whole of what we might use to help you with your peripheral neuropathy. But if you just do it by itself, it may make things worse or not make it better at all. This would be kind of like baking a cake and all you have is salt. It doesn't even taste anything like cake. In fact, it would turn you away pretty well. So again, Dr. Duncan McCollum, and I'm going to be featuring a few things. My book, Turn Back Your Biological Clock, The second edition came out about a year ago, and it's called, the subtitle is New Hope for Peripheral Neuropathy. And I'm going to, when you write stuff and put it aside, you forget about it. And then I was just looking through this today, and I'm going to read the author's note because this has everything to do with peripheral neuropathy and everything to do with things sneaking up on you and taking your life. And takes your life one step at a time. You can't go to the beach. You just decide not to go for walks. You don't want to take the dog for walks. You don't want to entertain. It's hard to drive because you don't know if your foot's on the gas or brake. I hear this a lot, believe it or not. And it doesn't go away unless you do the right things. You cannot medicate yourself out of a chronic condition. Again, the number one cause of death for people over 70 is complications of a fall. So the fall usually comes from peripheral neuropathy, where you've lost your dexterity, lost your ability to balance, lost your feeling in your feet. You don't know if it's hot or cold, where your limbs are. And then you trip, fall down, break a hip, or bash your head. Um, I've seen it pretty much all. Okay, I see people do this all the time. So what do? You patch yourself up, but you don't fix the problem, which is the feet and the lack of communication from the feet to the brain. So we have a workshop coming Thursday. Wednesday's full. Call 831-459-9990 in Capitola if you want to attend it. Talk to my staff, and it's free. So, you can get the information and find out if it works. But here's the deal, any of us that are aging, I'm 69, any of us that are aging and may feel like the good old days have got up and went, or we're not as healthy as we used to be, or perhaps we're not as agile as we used to be. And some of us just settle in and go, that's old age. Others go, the heck with it, I'm going to go for it anyway, and perhaps inadvertently hurt themselves. And then others go, what do I do to prepare for this journey of the rest of my life to make sure that I can enjoy it? I may have grandkids coming along, may already have them. They want to play sports. They want you to bounce them on their knee and tell them the stories of when you used to walk to school in the snow uphill both ways and things like that. Because, grandparents are there to create imaginations in children. I've got one coming in about a month and a half, my first grandchild, and I'm real excited about that. And my daughter was just telling me today she didn't know if she wants me babysitting him early on because she thinks I'll go to the beach and leave him there. Well, I doubt I would, but what's safe? Better be safe than sorry. And but the thing is that, grandparents are there to spoil the kids and tease the kids and do things that their parents wouldn't normally do and create imagination. So in order to be a good grandparent, you got to be healthy and the set a good example for the grandchildren about what life is all about. I remember walking with my grandpa. He was born in 1883 in Salinas along with seven other brothers. One of them was born dead, the first one. They were born in 1851 all the way up to 1892. And my his father, A.J. McCollum the first, married Bella, whose father was first marshal of Salinas. His name was James McDougall. He came across the wagon train, ox cart with his wife, and settled in Salinas in the late 1849, and had the first waterworks there. That was a horse-drawn flatbed that he filled up water on the river and took it to houses to distribute water to people. My great grandmother Bella, I found something in her writings during the Civil War where her brother Daniel left to go fight for the North in the Civil War. But one of the phrases she wrote about the Salinas Valley, which was, I'm sure, much more beautiful and lush then than it was now, the grasses were so tall. She said, and the wild mustard was so high that you could scarcely see a brim of a cowboy as he rode across the Salinas River. What a picture that is. What imagination and stories to get from a grandparent and goes down generations. So your purpose may be many, but one of them should be to enjoy the rest of your life and be able to share with the younger people, whether they're your bairn or not, what life is about. It's our turn to be um, teachers to the degree that, we know what we've done wrong. Some of us would do the same thing again anyway, but there are things that we would decide not to do. And I'll tell you the one thing that I would bet almost every grandparent out there would tell, and perhaps every parent in their 60s and 70s, is take care of your health. We were always told, work hard, go to school, get a job, sit down, shut up, and do what you're told, put your money away for the future. And so now most of the people who are in retirement age either haven't made it or they can't enjoy their life because of peripheral neuropathy or other diseases having to do with inflammation in the body, but they might have a nest egg. Now, if they had been told at the same time, put a health nest egg away, do a financial, or excuse me, a health legacy, take care of your health, we may not be the rated 47th in the world for health. The average American is incredibly unhealthy. There's 80 million of us with more than two chronic diseases, according to Michigan State University. The average child, 30% of the kids have autoimmune disease of some sort, and 30% are obese, and 60% of our population have diabetes. 30,000 with thyroid disease, 25 million have peripheral neuropathy. So this is a chance to turn back your biological clock and maybe before the clock gets ticking too long, take care of your health now. But I'm going to read this little verse here about my vision of life. It's the author's note out of my book, Turn Back Your Biological Clock, New Hope for Peripheral Neuropathy. Here we go. Whatever happened to the good old days, the days that came and went, being footloose and fancy free? Well, what's funny is I still feel as young as ever. I just wish my body would cooperate. I remember hanging out at People's Park back in the early 70s, going to Haight-Ashbury, and seeing shows at the Avalon Ballroom or the Fillmore West. It seemed I could stay up all night, put as many unmentionable things in my body as I pleased, and still wake up refreshed, albeit at 1 in the afternoon. Well, that was close to 50 years ago. The body just doesn't recover quite so easily. One day when I was working one of my, with one day I was working with one of my patients, an older lady, maybe in her late 60s, which I am now. She was hard of hearing, her body was a bit feeble. We got to talking about where she grew up. New York, she said. I replied. Were you around for Woodstock? Yep, she said. I was there. That's when it hit me. Well, my body's getting old. I started looking at my older patients with a new set of eyes. These guys may have bodies that may be starting to fail, but they have amazing stories to tell. Then I started thinking, what happened to the rebel within us? When did we start to conform? Oh my God, did I even say that word? I thought we were supposed to turn on, tune in, and drop out. Remember the famous line from the song My Generation by Pete Seeger? The one who was sung by, or Pete Seeger of The Who, sung by Roger Daltrey, as he stuttered out the words, I hope I die before I get old. I hope I die before I get old. And don't forget Abby Hoffman's cautionary line, don't trust anybody over 30. Well, here we are. Well, to any old hippies or beatniks out there who are reading this book or listening to the show, I guess the joke's on you and or us. You're still alive, and so are Daltrey and Townsend at this writing. Many of us lived our lives back then with little regard to the future, casting our fate to the wind. I guess that is, and turn the page, I guess that is how young people think today. Let's call it arrogance of youth. It may all be well and good that we did survive. We all made a living and are still here to talk about it. But at what cost? Our quality of health in the United States is terrible. In fact, if you weren't aware, we are rated 47th in the world for health and have been for years. It makes one wonder why we're all doing our thinking and learning to survive. Was, was some faction making a business out of keeping us sick? I'm going to read that again. It makes one wonder. While we were all doing our things and learning to survive, was some faction making a business out of keeping us sick? Wasn't Wonder Bread supposed to build strong bodies in 12 ways? Weren't Wheaties the breakfast of champion? Didn't Clark Kent endorse sugar frosted flakes? And weren't PF Flyers supposed to make us run our fastest and jump our highest? I think we've been duped. As a historical fiction writer with 4 published books under my belt, this educational book was written in a story format to keep it both exciting and informative. I developed some characters to represent different aspects of our current society. Today, 60% of our population is either diabetic or pre-diabetic. 30 million Americans have been diagnosed with thyroid disease. 20 million Americans have been diagnosed with something called peripheral neuropathy, and 80 million Americans have been diagnosed with multiple chronic diseases. Even over 50% of our children have been diagnosed with chronic disease. The list goes on. Something must be done about this. And then it talks about my book. In this book, I will guide you through the most current natural healthcare trends to teach you how to take charge of your health. Just like so many of my patients did, you will discover that you can change your life by taking control of your health. The processes I cover in this book have been researched and utilized by some of the greatest names in natural and restorative healthcare. I've had the privilege to know, study, and work with some of the world's top clinicians and researchers, and I am happy to share what I have learned with you. So that is the cover or the uh, author's note of my book, Turn Back Your Biological Clock. If you haven't got it, go get it on Amazon and read it because it could change your health, and I hope it does. So um, let's see where we are time-wise. All right. So this is Dr. Duncan McCollum, and I am talking to you from Your Health, Your Choice, McCollum Wellness Radio here at the Santa Cruz Voice. And I enjoy being here. I love talking to people about their health. And the one thing that I want to mention again is we have a workshop this Thursday at my office at 6 o'clock. It's called Peripheral Neuropathy Workshop. You can come and learn whether you have peripheral neuropathy, what causes it, what you can do to correct the problem, which most people have been told they can't fix it, but we know that we can change it dramatically by doing the right things. And those are the things that we do. So I'm going to take a commercial break in a couple minutes, but I want to talk about peripheral neuropathy. This is one of the flyers for those of you that are watching this online. This is an example of what peripheral neuropathy looks like. What if you could reverse peripheral neuropathy? Symptoms gone without the use of drugs, dangerous drugs, and surgery. If you're experiencing debilitating pain, numbness, and tingling, they are likely caused by neuropathy. Peripheral neuropathy is a common condition that affects 20 million Americans, and once identified, can be successfully treated without the use of drugs and surgery. Now, the thing is that most people, when they come into my office, just like I was carried into a chiropractic office, we are their last hope. We're the last stop. We are the final frontier for health. And I want to encourage you to, before you do something drastic, come and let us take a look at you. Drastic might be invasion of the body or just letting the condition continue while covering it up with things that aren't fixing it, but making it numb. It's like putting a piece of black tape over the red light of your engine when you're driving down the road, when it doesn't have enough oil and it's going to blow up on you. So, um, peripheral neuropathy is something that is insidious. It starts slowly and then it starts to take off like a hockey stick going up quickly. And in almost all stages, we can help it. Turning it back, how far? Kind of depends on several factors, actually. How bad it is when we get it, what you're willing to do, and how diligent you are to, you know, coming for treatment protocols. There's a lot of home therapy stuff that you do. We work with you with making sure that we can get the toxic elements out of your body that have been causing peripheral neuropathy and deadening those nerves and damaging them so that you can actually have a chance to get healthy. Just imagine taking a plant and pulling it out of the ground, and there's a lot of roots covered with dirt, and you washed all the dirt off, you'd have a bunch of white roots. Now you stick those in a toxic formula, solvent of some kind, and they are going to start to break down, dry up, and die, shrivel up and die. But if you catch it in time, take it out, and then put it in some very healthy, nutritious fluid, those plants or those roots have a great chance of coming back. The sooner you do it, the better. So the first thing we need to do is correct whatever's causing, well, we do it at the same time, but there's an urgency to do both. Number one, stop the boat from sinking. So we got to bail out the boat. That means stop any further damage to the nerves. So with that, we do a lot of techniques in the office. We have the SoundWave machine, the SoftWave therapy machine that I'll talk about a little bit more in a minute. As seen on the doctors, it comes from Germany. They used to use it to break up kidney stones. They still do. Sound comes out at over 3,000 miles an hour, breaks up scar tissue, and attracts your own stem cells to the area. We also have class 2 lasers, zirconia laser, green, red, and violet that have been approved by um, the FDA, cleared by the FDA to treat several different um, types of physical condition. And zirconia, the laser that I have, has 21 of the 25 different uh, patents or clearances by the government. Now, to get one of those costs millions for one. So this company's spent, I'm sure, over a couple $100 million getting these clearances done by the government. So I'm going to take a second and on the Santa Cruz Voice, I'm going to play a commercial, but with us, I'll keep talking. Here we go. Okay, so as I'm playing a commercial on Santa Cruz Voice, I want to just make sure that we are aware of what we can do to help you. So my office, we had a great staff meeting today. We're very committed to helping people. We just talked about if we can help a few people, only 7% of the population in the United States have gone to a chiropractor. 7% out of 330, 40 million. So that's crazy, right? Because we're non-invasive therapy designed to help the nervous system work as close to 100% as possible to turn back the damage caused by things irritating the communications in the body, like the nervous system. The spine oftentimes gets misaligned, or it could be scar tissue or spasms that will alter nerve function. We also work with the chemical toxicity, which is huge. We're talking about things like glyphosate, forever chemicals, solvents that people work with. I was talking to a gentleman today in his late 40s who came in with terrible peripheral neuropathy and lesions on his hand and feet. And the lesions, we started talking to him about what could have possibly caused the poisoning inside his body. And he goes, well, I've been a woodworker for years, and reminded me of a friend of mine who used to work at Fort Ord painting floors with incredible toxic substances. And this gentleman also told me that he used to drink a lot, as well as working with these solvents and doing other medications, non-pharmaceutical. And it's been destroying the nerves in his feet. And he's at 49 years old, he's having difficulty functioning. And it's really sad. But the good news is that we can help him. So, don't let it go so far that, you let these things happen so much that the body is going to get poisoned from these toxins that we're putting in there. Now, one thing he says, well, I've been making cabinets for 30 years, and I just know when I was a mechanic, when I would be done for the day, I'd dip my hands in brake fluid, solvent, or gasoline to get the grease off of them, not even thinking that that solvent would be absorbed into my body and get into my liver, which is supposed to detoxify it. That, with a lot of other things that I was consuming that I shouldn't have been, my body got more and more toxic. So I was asking him about whether he ever wore a mask or used ventilation. He goes, well, no, I didn't for years. And just think of that plywood, the laminated wood that they use for putting cabinets together. The glues and solvents they use to stick that stuff together is incredibly toxic. And for 30 years, he'd been working in a shop cutting that stuff, breathing the flames. And this is the kind of thing that one person may not be affected, but the other person, their liver and kidney gets so filled up that the body can't put up with it anymore. The blood gets toxic. It starts killing the tiny blood vessels, as it did in this gentleman's feet. So he has chronic infections and lesions on his feet. The medical doctors give him antibiotics for it, but it's not doing anything to correct the underlying problem. So that's what we want to do. But we did do one of our stem cell treatments on him today. And he came out and he said, wow, this is the best my feet have felt in quite a long time. So that is one of the things that we do. And so we have the SoftWave therapy machine that is pretty cool because what it is, sound comes out at 3,358 miles an hour out of this machine. And wherever we put it, it goes into that body and it stimulates stem cell growth, your own stem cell growth, migrates your stem cells there. Stem cells are going to grow into new tissue. The problem in his feet is the tissue is so inflamed and swollen, and the cells are so worn out that it can't heal. So we're bringing his own stem cells in there, like we do with anybody with peripheral neuropathy. And then we hit it with a red laser, red, purple, and green laser. The laser enhances those stem cells by supercharging something called the mitochondria inside the stem cell. So it's actually going to allow those stem cells to work better. So, what the whole purpose of today is to give people hope. I know I mentioned I'm going to be a grandfather here pretty soon in a week, 6 weeks. And the purpose of grandparents at this point is to be able to enjoy their grandchildren, run around, play with them, take them for walks, go watch them do sports events, take them to the beach, and have the mental acuity to tease the heck out of them and tell them a bunch of fictitious stories. That's definition of a grandfather. But if you have damaged your body and you haven't taken care of your health, then there's a good likelihood that you're one of the 25 million Americans that have peripheral neuropathy or the beginning of it, meaning that you can't feel your feet, you're afraid to walk on uneven surfaces. You might have lesions down there that you don't even know because the nerves are damaged. And this can affect your hands as well. So I'm doing a workshop this Thursday. Actually, Wednesday's workshop is completely full. So Thursday at 6 o'clock, we'll be doing another peripheral neuropathy workshop at my office. And the number is 831-459-9990. So conditions that you may have that could lead up to peripheral neuropathy, things like diabetic. The number one cause of peripheral neuropathy is diabetic neuropathy, meaning the blood vessels from diabetes get so plugged in the tips of your fingers and toes that you can't get blood and oxygen to the tissue, so it starts to necrose or die. That's where you see people lose limbs and stuff because of diabetic neuropathy. Now, there's a lot to talk about on there, but for today's discussion, we know that using the SoftWave therapy machine, the laser, and some of the other things that we have you do at home, we can, number one, take the blood vessels that are there and dilate them so they're getting more purchase to the tissue. And then with the stem cell machine and the laser, we can actually have your own stem cells migrate to the area. Stem cells are like an egg and a sperm. When they come together, when an egg and a sperm originally came together, that was the first stem cell. Now it's divided into 75 trillion cells. And we all have those original copies of that stem cell floating around in our body. That original cell has all of the genes, all of the DNA. It can be anything in your body. So when we attract it to the area of application of this tissue, you're going to get new stems. Those stem cells are like chameleons. They're going to be anything they want. Some are going to be blood vessels, some are going to be muscle cells, some nerve cells, some skin tissue, some bone. So we can help your body rebuild itself. And the cool thing is it will. And then we might address why the diabetes is going on. But that's down the road. So first you got to fix the problem, the damage done, meaning the loss of nerve function. Then you got to plug the hole in the boat. So if the boat's sinking, two choices: plug the hole or bail the boat out. If you try to plug the hole and you are unsuccessful, the boat will sink. So you have to bail the boat, in this case, repair the nerves as quickly as possible, then find the cause of the problem, which would be plugging the hole. Sometimes that takes a while, and since it might have taken 30, 40, 50 years for your nerves to start to die, it's not going to be an immediate recovery by plugging the hole. It could be a process that we need to do to make the liver healthy so it can help your body heal again, as well as your brain, because those toxins that are killing your feet nerves and your feet are killing the brain. Most people with peripheral neuropathy also have brain fog. So they go hand in hand. So diabetes is the number one cause of peripheral neuropathy. Second is chemotherapy and radiation treatment. This has these chemicals get into the tiny nether regions of the body and they plug up or damage the tissue so it's no longer working well. Just think of the solvent in some of the stuff I use to clean my hands with. And those tiny little capillaries, which are one cell thick, only one blood cell vessel can, red blood corpuscle can go through at a time. They get damaged, scarred, and close up on the inside, backing up those blood vessels, causing necrosis or damage or dying of the nerves and the tissue in the area. All of this stuff caught soon enough, there's a really good chance of getting it better. We have like a 91% results or better. So fibromyalgia is another example of not enough oxygen to the tissue, toxicity that will ultimately result in peripheral neuropathy. Oftentimes you just get odd feelings, itching, burning, scratching, can't have a blanket on your feet at night, might have muscle cramping, just chronic pain, numbness, prickling or tingling, electrical shocks. This is all stuff that can be caused by peripheral neuropathy. Here's a couple pictures. We do thermographic imaging of the feet and hands, and we can tell based on that thermographic imaging what the oxygen content and the is in that area, how well those tissues are getting oxygen via the blood flow, as well as nutrients, vitamins and minerals that are absolutely important to keep that tissue alive. The nerve, believe it or not, needs oxygen to survive. It needs nutrients to survive. A lot of people don't realize that. And the more I'm studying and understanding peripheral neuropathy, the more I'm understanding how important it is for the chemistry of the body to work right. Forever chemicals are a big problem. Glyphosate is a big problem, and glyphosate is Roundup, and we know that it can cause cancer. But in lesser doses, it can actually start to cause the breaking down of tissue wherever it gets stuck. Usually, the liver will be the first line of defense for these chemicals in our body, the glyphosate, the forever chemicals, solvents, molds, heavy metals that we get through the food we eat and the air we breathe. and the chemicals that we put on our body, whether it's under our arm, our hair, or simply washing with it. And that stuff gets absorbed through the pores of your skin, through your digestive system, through your lungs. And it has to get out of the body, but it has to make a trip through the liver first. Because the liver is going to categorize it and say, this is water soluble, go to the kidneys. This is oil soluble, I'll handle it. So it goes through every single blood cell goes through your liver 5 times a minute. The same the same blood cell goes through my index finger 5 times a minute. That's how much the circulatory system works, like the heart's pumping, lub dubbing, and creating a push of healthy blood saturated in oxygen and healthy nutrients to all the tissues and organs and cells in the body, all 75 trillion of them, which dump their garbage to be taken by that same bloodstream back to the liver, to the kidneys, and eliminated out of the body. So that's a lot of information. Simply want to let you know that, well, I'm doing a peripheral neuropathy workshop Wednesday. It's full, but Thursday, we still have a few seats. 6 o'clock. My number is 831-459-9990. Early on, I read a story about my early days in the book, Turn Back Your Biological Clock. And basically, it just talked about what happened to the good old days, the days that seem to come and go, right? And the main thing that I want you guys to take away at today's show is you have a lot of life to live. Again, this gentleman who came in 49 years old today, he looked healthy from the waist up, from the legs down. One of my staff members said this is one of the worst feet I've seen in a long time because of the lack of oxygen and because of the chemical toxicity that he's been exposed to, not only through being a cabinet maker for so many years and being exposed to the harsh chemicals inside the laminated wood and the other things that he would do in that shop, but a lot of us from early age, we find ways to medicate ourselves, whether it's our mental self or our physical self. I did it both ways, both physically and mentally. I ended up having to try to get rid of my pain through a lot of different drugs that I should have never taken, almost killed me. But thank God I was able to get myself out of it in time and start to really understand what health is. And I've been in practice 35 years now. And the reason I'm on these two radio shows is because I want to try to get the word out to you all so that you can do something to enjoy your life and be good grandparents, since I'm going to have to learn how to be a grandparent here pretty soon. So I want to talk for a minute about the stem cell machine, the SoftWave therapy machine that we have. Now, this has been cleared by the FDA. Some of the teaching hospitals that utilize it are Harvard Medical School, Georgetown University, UC San Diego, let's see, Cleveland Clinic, Mayo Clinic, Piedmont Clinic. And the reason they're using this is they're using it for research on how to actually help the body rebuild itself. So I had the first one in Northern California. I've had it for about 7 years now. And it made such an incredible difference in my shoulder that I'd injured doing everything from throwing baseballs as a kid to adjusting for 30 plus years. It was the only thing that helped me. So here's some of the points. It's proven effective. Independent studies prove that the stem cell machine to be a highly effective treatment for various health conditions related to damaged bone and muscle tissue. The results indicate up to 91% of patients experience successful healing. That's pretty remarkable, without drugs, without surgery. And then this activates connective tissue, this machine does. Connective tissue is a building block matrix of the body. It supports, protects, and gives structure to all types of tissue. The matrix, this is connective tissue. The stem cell machine, which we have, uses electrohydraulically produce sound waves. In other words, the sound comes out at 3,358 miles an hour, goes right through healthy tissue, stops on unhealthy tissue, and helps calibrate it, brings your own stem cells in there to reform healthy tissue. And just like a chameleon, those stem cells will grow into new healthy tissue. It also breaks up calcification. Trauma to the tendons can generate calcific fibrosis, calcification, calcific deposits in the ligaments. These can cause chronic pain and decreased mobility. The SoftWave machine clears calcification from damaged tissue. That's pretty cool. It's non-invasive, and we have one. And so we use this with peripheral neuropathy. It's just one of the tools. So a lot of times people who have peripheral neuropathy come in with a bag full of gadgets they've ordered off the internet. And maybe one of them we might even recommend, but it by itself can't do the job. It's like baking a cake and only using salt. You'll end up with something that tastes terrible, no sugar. But when you have the right ingredients, you end up with a masterpiece. My grandma was an incredible dessert cook. She'd ask, "What do I want for dessert today?" And when I come home, there'd be a pie or cookies or what have you. She knew the recipe. So a recipe to help healing people is very important. And we know the recipe. We've proven it time and time again. We have some amazing success stories. If you just want those, call the office and we'll send you the link of people talking about how much better they're doing with our peripheral neuropathy program. We have you do stuff at home, which will help build the stem cells and reestablish the length of the uh, peripheral nerve at home. You do that every day. You come into the office and we do these ultra um, very impactful machines like the lasers that I mentioned, the zirconia lasers, as well as the stem cell machine. We have electromagnetic current machines called PEMF, and we also have a vibe plate and chiropractic. One of the main things to understand too is something has killed these nerves. So just trying to patch the nerves is great, but it's not much better than just drugging the symptoms. It's actually better than just drugging the symptoms, but you got to find out what caused the problem in the first place. If I had a car and the red light kept going on and I just kept putting in oil every time the red light went on, I'd have to use oil for the rest of my life. And it could be more, what do they say? I fill my car with oil and check the gas. So, the other way to do it is fix what's causing the oil to leak. And when we are correcting peripheral neuropathy, the first thing we want to do is help stop the hemorrhaging of those nerves. In other words, stop them from continuing to take them out of dying, take them out of a toxic solvent and put them into something healthy. So we got to get the toxins out of your bloodstream, out of your liver, out of your brain, out of your body, and give it nutritious elements so it can grow back into a healthy environment. So it's very important that you know the recipe. So we look for heavy metals. We look for whether or not your cells can actually absorb the stuff that it should. A lot of times people come in and we do a heavy metal oligo scan, which is pretty cool. It's a photocytometry. We just place these probes on your hands, doesn't penetrate it, but it reads the cell. Cyto means cell, ometry means meter, metry, and it's a photocytometry that reads the content and assays the cell of all the different minerals, all the vitamins, and all the heavy metals that are located in the cells of your body. Because a toxic cell is going to continue to make you sick. It's like driving down the road in an old Chevy pickup, and you have a hose in the gas tank, and that hose, or in the exhaust pipe, and that hose is coming into the cab, and the windows rolled up. You're driving something that's toxic, and it will make you sick, if not kill you. Well, your body, if it's not healthy, if there's bad chemicals in there, if your liver is toxic, it's going to turn on bad cells, turn on the genes in the bad cells, and cause you to get some kind of chronic disease, whether it's genetic. Peripheral neuropathy, number one, by the way, is the number one cause of death because people trip in their early to late 70s from peripheral neuropathy. They can't tell where their feet are. They trip, fall, and then that puts them down that bad path to demise. So treating peripheral neuropathy before it gets worse is very important. This is Dr. Duncan McCollum. This is Santa Cruz Voice and McCollum Wellness Radio. You can see all of my videos on my YouTube channel, Dr. Duncan McCollum. I've got over 250 health videos on there. Also, my podcast, McCollum Wellness Radio, over 250 podcasts on there, all on different subjects of how to be and stay healthy. If you know anybody that needs to hear this information, get on YouTube and copy the link and send it to them so that they can get this information, because it's so sad to see people who have a bad last few years because they were missing information that could change their life. So I know we still have a few seats left, probably about 8 seats left for Thursday night. It's McCollum Family Chiropractic in Capitola. You can call 831-459-9990. If you know somebody that needs this, bring them. We'll have light something to eat there, of course. But the inflammation is one of the number one. 15 out of 16 of the causes for chronic disease and death, besides tripping and breaking something, 15 out of 16 of them is caused or related in large part to chronic inflammation. So chronic inflammation is responsible for the development of 15 out of 16 of the chronic diseases. Chronic inflammation comes from toxicity, um, unhealthy organs in the body. And this is stuff that can be cleaned up if you do it in time. That's why I recommend getting my book, Turn Back Your Biological Clock. There's actually a 7-week course you can take online on McCollumWellness.com that will help you learn how to turn back your biological clock. And you don't wait till it's too late. So just got a few minutes left here. Dr. Duncan McCollum, McCollum Wellness Radio, Santa Cruz Voice. I'm so happy to be on here. It's probably my 10th show with this station. And I'm on here every Monday from 3 to 4. And again, you can go to this will all be shown video-wise on McCollum, our Dr. Duncan McCollum YouTube channel, or you can rehear it if you need to send it to somebody on McCollum Wellness Radio podcast. So the one thing that's interesting, if we talk about 15 out of 16 of the main causes of disease that cause death are due to inflammation, the only one that isn't related to that 15 out of 16, number 16, and it's probably first, is falls. So trips and falls are the number one cause of death for people over 62 years old. So being 50 or 69, I'm getting close. And why do you think they trip and fall? Because they've lost balance, they've lost communication with their feet, or they don't know their limbs aren't giving them the information where they are. And that, of course, is caused by chronic inflammation as well, because that is what causes peripheral neuropathy. Those 15 diseases that are caused by chronic inflammation culminate in peripheral neuropathy. All disease roads lead to peripheral neuropathy. So I hope this has been helpful for you. I get passionate about this because we get such amazing results in our office. It's just so neat to hear people talk about getting their life back, being able to walk their dog again, taking their dog off of a trail rather than just walking on flat surfaces, being able to travel to Europe. One couple, a gentleman retired and they'd bought a motorhome because they wanted to go all around the country, but he didn't know whether his foot was on the gas pedal or brake, and it got worse. And driving that 28 or 30-foot motorhome was scared the heck out of him. His wife wouldn't let him do it, and she wasn't going to drive. She was going to be a passenger and just observe nature as they went. Somehow or other, he found out about our workshop. He came and he did the whole program with us. And now they're traveling around the country, which is awesome. And we hear this with so many different conditions. And, the neat thing is something can be done about it. You just have to come find out about the workshop. It takes work. There is no magic pill. You cannot medicate yourself out of a chronic condition. And if there's a will, there's a way. And we would love nothing more than be able to help you. And interestingly enough, I started this show. I see my friend Ken Stanley is watching. I started this show with a song called There Ain't No Cure for the Summertime Blues. And Ken, you used to play that song and go into Blue Suede Shoes as a parody to it. And we're going to go out with Blue Suede Shoes yet again. So I'm going to go ahead and play that right now, and we'll see you all next week. Eddie
Every time I call my baby, try to get a date. Paul says, that's you gotta believe. Sometimes I wonder, but I'm gonna do, but there ain't no cure for the summertime blues. Oh, my mom and papa told me, son, you gotta make some money. If you wanna use the car to go riding next Sunday. Oh, well, I didn't go to work. Oh, the boss, I was sick. You can't use a car because you didn't work or live. Oh, that's wrong. But there ain't no cure for the summertime blues.
Yeah, all you guys out there, Santa Cruz folks, thank you for putting up with me. I really appreciate you being there.
Thank you to the United Nations.
Come to give a call.
Well, I called my congressman and he said, they help you, son, but you're too young to vote. You for summertime blues.
Next week, y'all have a great time. Bye, y'all.